the Zurich airport is comprised of three main docks: the dock A, dock B, and dock E. Dock B also includes gates D. Then there's a tower on dock A, and all of them are built in various stages. So the first, like Terminal 1, is the first part that was built 100 years ago, and then it was subsequently replaced and extended. So it's like a patchwork of very, very different architectural styles. The task was basically to replace dock A, the tower, and then also build like a larger kind of retail area at the root of dock A. So that's a brief. I think it was a very bold decision in the competition, but it also from the client side, it seemed to be something that was perceived very kind of appropriate. It's almost like they said, like, this is zeitgeist, is to use timber these days, especially for a large structure that is for a building that causes a large carbon footprint because of air travel. If you build the building that is connected to air travel out of timber, it's kind of, it's not, of course, not a one-to-one payoff for carbon sequestration, but it is kind of I think a gesture to show like air travel doesn't have to be completely unsustainable. It can, at least the building can be very, very sustainable with using timber as a very local material. Also in Switzerland, locals production in Switzerland of timber or construction timber per year is like 4.8 million cubic meters, which is larger than what Switzerland actually needs as construction materials. So Switzerland is exporting timber and has a very sustainable way of doing forestry, which is very important. So timber construction is not a solution if you just take away all trees, right? You have to replace them. And Switzerland has a great kind of forestry tradition, and it does it in a very sustainable way. They're planting more trees every year than they're taking out. It's not only the timber as a material, it's also the way the framework is constructed. We have this large V frames that create like large windows towards the gates where you can see the airplane. We have some of the Schengen levels are in the upper zone, so the kind of in between the V frame that creates, like, we have two of them, and in between you have an A frame that guides you with a skylight on top. So it is kind of it's a piece of architecture also. So it's not only a timber frame, but there's a very kind of conscious decision of how these structural frames are placed to guide the visitor very naturally towards the route, where you find the skylight, along the skylight, where you find the atrium, the tower, and then the retail that surrounds it. So it is a material experience, but it's also a spatial experience. I think it is important that you can see what a building is made of. If it's made from a sustainable material like wood, then you should be able to see it. A lot of codes, building codes actually in the world require, even if you would build a timber building, you would need to clad a substantial part with gyp or other material to make it fireproof, which is kind of not really necessary if you use the properties of timber correctly. So I think in this particular, the Swiss code is very kind of advanced for timber structures. So we are actually able to expose the timber as a main construction material. There's no need for cladding, which is a great opportunity. It's also, I think the warmth that it's not really sustainable, but it kind of makes people feel like if you come home to Switzerland and you arrive in a timber dock, I think it's a different feeling than just arriving in a dark kind of concrete building. That I think that we try to make it as welcoming as possible, and also, of course, feature. If you're using timber, we want to feature it and show the world that you can actually build a large terminal out of a sustainable material.